Hello everyone, Mike here. Thank you for joining me today for this series of instructional videos based on my books, Understanding How to Build Guitar Chords and Arpeggios, published by Mel Bay, and Understanding Chords, Arpeggios, and Scales for Guitar, Volume 2. Both of these books are available on Amazon.com, and they'll help you follow along with these series of guitar lessons. My objective with these books and with this series of guitar lesson videos is to hopefully make learning the guitar easier, to show you how simple it is by equipping you with an understanding of some very simple principles. So rather than looking at something like 1,000,001 guitar chords or 1,000,001 guitar scales, just an endless sea of dots, dots, and more dots, I want to give you a real understanding of the guitar, how it works, and show you the principles behind building chords, arpeggios, and scales. Once you understand these basic concepts and how they work, guitar playing becomes easier, and you become a more effective musician. So once again, welcome to my first introductory video, and I'll be discussing two very basic principles here. First, building chords, and second, building scales. So let's begin with chords. When I, like most other guitar students, started really having fun playing guitar, I was learning how to play chords. Chords were my gateway to learning to play and sing some of my favorite songs. So, and learning chords for me was a matter of looking at the guitar fingerboard diagrams and following the pattern of dots. And it seemed like there was no end to all the dots I could learn. So learning chords was a whole world in itself of just dots, dots, and more dots. Then, as I grew and I learned more, the next step was learning to improvise. And like most guitar students, the first thing I learned was something called a pentatonic scale. And that was another pattern of dots. The more I learned about improvisation, the more patterns of dots that I had to learn. More scales, scales, scales. And this seemed like an entirely new world of dots. So on the one hand, I was learning all my chord dots over here. On the other hand, I was learning all my scale dots over here. And each one seemed like an endless universe in itself. And when it came to actually playing the guitar, I was thinking either chord dots or scale dots, one or the other. And when I was improvising, once I found out what scale applied to the key I was in, I became almost oblivious to my harmonic surroundings. So this, of course, made playing music with shifting tonal centers or key changes, especially music like jazz, made it very difficult, and I'd get lost very easily. So what I discovered through the process of learning how to become a more effective musician is that I needed to relearn or better understand chords and scales. I needed to make sense out of these two vast seas of dots and integrate them in a way that gives me better control over my guitar playing. I needed to integrate them so that I think both harmonically and melodically at the same time, not two vague separate worlds. So I needed to see chords, arpeggios, and scales, what I call in layers, integrated together with the same focus, so that the same way I might effortlessly change from playing one chord to another, right? You kind of, once you learn chords, you kind of don't think twice about it, thinking harmonically. I would be able to improvise melodies with an almost identical thought process, not shifting gears between, okay, my chord dots over here, and then, okay, improvising a melody was, that was another pattern of dots. So by way of introduction today, I'm going to explain two simple concepts that will take your guitar playing to the next level. First, you'll notice in my books that everything we learn on the guitar is within the context of 5 octave regions. Or, in other words, There are only 5 places on the guitar fingerboard to learn chords, arpeggios, and scales. So it's not an infinite sea of dots, but a very finite and comprehensible neighborhood, so to speak. So the 5 octave regions on the guitar look like this. If you can see on my diagram here, we have region 1, region 2, 3, 4, and 5. They look or sound like this. Here's region 1, region 2, 3, 4, and 5. So these 5 octave regions are the skeletal framework, so to speak, that will support every additional layer of chords, arpeggios, and scales. So memorizing these 5 octave regions is your very first step to transforming how you see and understand the guitar. Now let me point out a couple of things here. You'll notice these regions are cyclical. In other words, the end of region 5 is once again the beginning of region 1. These patterns interconnect around and around. So as I'm playing through again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then I'm at 1 again. Right up here, 1, 2, and or I could go back this way. If this is 1, here's 1, 5's right there, right behind it. Also notice these 5 octave regions on the guitar are transposable or movable anywhere on the guitar fingerboard, like this. So if I'm playing, say, G here, all these notes are G, right? I can also move that pattern, shift this entire pattern of octave regions, so I go from playing G to A, B flat, B, C, and the patterns continue. So here's region 1 in the key of C. If I go backwards, right, 1, there's 5, there's 4, there's 3, okay? They just keep going around and around, and they're completely movable or transposable across the entire guitar fingerboard.